Good morning. It's time for Midweek Motivation Live. I hope that everyone is doing well today. It's a beautiful day here in Amarillo, Texas, at the studio and offices of the Patrick Lee Group. It was a blustery winter weather season for the last few days. Most of the snow, we got nearly a foot of snow. Supposed to get 3 to 6 inches. It turned out we got a lot of areas with 10, 11, 12 inches of snow and drifts up to a couple of feet. Multiple accidents around town. A lot of things that happen in Texas when people don't drive in the snow regularly. My advice is always stay off the road if you don't have to get out there, and if so, be careful. Be always mindful of the people that are around you. Saw a couple of bad accidents actually in the neighborhood over the last few days. People happening to be out and wrecked in the snow, and prayers go out to them. But a good show today, and want to dig into this. I've read a book a while back and then recently reread it and have been going through it on Audible. And I want to get into that today on Midweek Motivation Live, of course, now on all major podcast platforms, wherever you go to consume content, podcast content, or watch videos, YouTube, Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes. You can find Midweek Motivation Live with Patrick Lee. Super happy about that. The show continues to grow, right? And it's all with your help. Multiple people already watching, tuning in today live, simulcast on Facebook and LinkedIn. The show will hit Buzzsprout this afternoon and then YouTube later as well. And we have got a bunch of new shorts that we're adding to our YouTube channel and other social media platforms. So look out for those. We have methods now to cut the show up into the points that we have made during some of the podcast and created shorts out of those. And those are going to start going back out. We did that for a while and then we slowed down on that. And now we're getting back into some shorts and other tactics to help the show grow and help get you more short content to help motivate you at different points during the week. So start looking forward for those. Hey, Pete, good to see you tuning in again today as well. This book is one I may have referred it to you or recommended it to you in the past. And I was turned on to it by a leader and mentor a couple of years ago. And it's one I've added to my arsenal, and one I think at the beginning of the year is a good one for you to pick up. And it's a good recommendation. I would like to, I will tell you that whoever, um, here we go. Product giveaway. I will send a copy of today's book recommendation to the person that likes, loves, and shares the show first today. So that's how you're going to get a copy of The Go Giver by Bob Burg and John David Mann. That is going to be the book recommendation and the topic of the show today. 7 key takeaways, 7 laws, if you want to call them that. That's what we call them sort of in podcast world. Hey, Cody. Yes, sir. Cody Blair in the house. There we go. Cody Blair at Fire Slice Pizza. I'll share a little bit with you. Cody's already got it. Cody knows the plan. You've got the tactics down. I love it. Drinking my little 30th anniversary coffee cup here, some Roasters Black and Tan. Yeah. I had got another bag of their Black and Tan beans from Roasters, our favorite local coffee shop, and just ground up the last of that bag. So those of you that know me and want to bless Midweek Motivation Live with Patrick Lee, you can always do that by sending me coffee beans from Roasters in Amarillo. There you go. Thanks, Cody. I love it, man. I love it. But yes, that's how you find the show. Anywhere you consume podcast content, you can find us also on the Midweek Motivation Live channel on YouTube. Today's book recommendation is The Go Giver by Bob Burg. What is it all about? Today's show, 7 life-changing principles for success. I believe that this show today is going to be one that you would also want to download, save it, or copy off these laws. And maybe get some key takeaways from each of these points and see if they don't help you enrich your life and the life of others around you. The Go Giver, 7 life-changing principles for success from The Go Giver by Bob Burg and John David Mann, and apply them to your own personal or professional life. Number 1, The law of value, knowing your true worth. The first law of value teaches us that our true worth is determined by how much more we give in value than we take away in payment from other people. I'll put this into perspective. I was closing on a large property that we've had on the market twice, and we sold it about a week ago. Closed on that. Both parties were super happy, and we were talking at the title company at the closing table. Clients were talking to me about how to determine the worth of a property. And at the end of that conversation, the bottom line of that was a property is worth what another party is willing to pay. So when you start trying to determine a price on a property, you want to compare that home, right, against other, we call them the comps. You need to run the numbers on it. And a lot of people will just do a basic market analysis and they'll say, okay, these are the comps, blah, 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 blah. They don't do any adjustments for features that the home may have or not have. They don't take into account a lot of things. Maybe the home that you're comparing it against sold a year ago. The market value has changed since then. So we do at the Patrick Lee Group, we do a lot of extra things and do a lot of deeper research through about 5 different websites that are going to show us a more true value. And we try to come as close to the market value of the home as possible, not the bank's value, right? The market value. And they're like, well, how do we know that that's true? Or how do we know it's real, if that's really what it's worth? And it comes down to this. Knowing the true worth is finding out what another party is willing to pay to get it. And a lot of times that can be applied to us as well. And that conversation actually turned into a personal valuation statement. And I told my clients at that point, and just in passing, I said, I actually apply that to myself as well, because as a real estate agent, as an advisor in a real estate transaction, I'm only worth what you're willing to pay me or what I can negotiate, right? People are worth what they negotiate, not always. Now, we're not talking in God's eyes. We are invaluable to God, in God's eyes, and to the eyes of our parent or those that love us. That's not what we're talking about. But your true worth in a transaction as an advisor is what are they willing to pay, and different people charge different things. These people sent me a great gift this week, and that was delivered, and it was amazing. In the thank you card, they actually tagged that line, and they said, you said something that was very significant, and you said that your value is tied to what people can pay. And they threw a monetary little gift in there, nothing illegal, but a little gift in there, and just told them, we believe that you are worth more than anything we could pay. And that was just so uplifting to me. But in this world where transactions often feel impersonal, a lot of things that we go through may seem to be relegated only to a monetary amount. This principle reminds us to focus on service over profit. And that's where we're going to be going with this first topic here. When we consistently over deliver, whether by offering extraordinary customer service or simply adding kindness and consideration into our transactions, we build a reputation that creates trust and loyalty with those that we interact with in our relationships, in our business. And this law challenges us to redefine success, not as monetary gain, but as the impact we make in others' lives. It's about making others feel valued, respected, and heard, which leads to long-term success. Ask yourself this question: what can I do to provide more value in this situation and in each situation moving forward? That's a great question to ask yourself. Also, how can I leave this interaction, this conversation, this transaction better than I found it? And we have to do that a lot, right? And it's one of the things that we recommend to our sellers when we help someone buy a home. They invariably tell us, oh, this is our forever home. And I'm like, really? Really? And I laugh when I say that. It's just a chuckle. I said, because statistics tell us, and it used to be 7 to 10 years was the statistic of how long first-time home buyers would own their home. Over the last 5 years, that has dropped down to 2 to 5 years. First-time home buyer who tells me this is my forever home. I love this home. I'll never leave. And I smile or I chuckle, I shake their hand. I said, that's wonderful. If we're not personal friends and we're not going to hang out all of the time and talk to each other regularly, I just remind them, I said, I'll hear from you in about 2 years, maybe 18 months. And you'll be asking me, hey, how's the market? Have I earned enough equity in this home to sell it and make a profit and move on to my next home? And I'll not say I told you so, but in a joke or however, we will be reminded. So I tell them, when you move into your new home that you love and you're going to keep forever, don't forget to start maintaining it and improving it. Because as you make improvements, when it comes time to sell it, you want to sell it in better condition than when you bought it, right? That's how we make a profit. If you buy a home, you use up that home and you don't make any updates or improvements to that home, the increase in market value of that home isn't going to grow enough to overcome the lack of maintenance or updating that you've done to the home or not done to the home at all. And you may potentially lose money on that house. Doesn't make sense to some people, but it does if you understand the law of supply and demand. People, when there's a lack of quality homes on the market, they're not going to overpay for a home that's in poor condition, right? Yes, Cody, going on 8 years in their house. We helped them buy that house years ago. So proud of you guys. And you have done, Cody's a fine example. I use Cody a lot because Cody's on the show a lot. But Cody does so many of the right things in life. That's why we're friends. And they've made a lot of great improvements to their home. Beautiful home. Well said, Cody. So ask yourself this question: how can I leave my home, my business, my relationship, or a business transaction? How can I leave this or exit this better than when I entered? Always have a great exit strategy before you enter in, right? That's how you win. Number two, the law of compensation. Income follows impact. Oh, write that one down again. Income follows impact. Compensation or money paid isn't solely about what you earn, it's about the lives you touch along the way. This law states your income is directly proportional to the number of people you serve and the quality of that service. If you aim to make a meaningful impact on others, success and financial reward follows naturally. You don't have to force it. You don't have to get all stressed out about how to make more money on a deal. When your heart is in the right place, financial reward follows naturally. We call that organically, right? It's a natural impact of giving. The law of reciprocity is unavoidable in life. What you sow, you will return. You will reap. You will get it back. If you aim to make this impact on others, that's going to happen. You will be impacted as well. The broader your influence, the greater the return. Your influence can cause you to reap a great harvest when you use your influence for good. Instead of focusing on just the number, a quota, or how many transactions, start thinking about how you can reach more people with what you do, how you can influence more people, how you can influence or increase the reach of the work that you're already doing so you compound that, right? You can take a transaction and move it quantum leaps forward, all in how you repurpose that, how you promote that, things that have been done. Instead of just focusing on the number, learn how to increase the influence around what you have done. When you approach service with this mindset, you shift from chasing money to chasing relationships. You switch from just looking at being money focused to being people focused. And shouldn't that be where our focus is, right? If you want to create meaningful relationships that are mutually rewarding, ask yourself this: who else can benefit from what I have to offer? If this transaction or this conversation or this deal was good for this person, wouldn't it make sense that it could be beneficial for multiple people? That's how you repurpose that, move it forward. Ask yourself this question as well: what steps can I take to expand the reach of my impact? Life lesson number 2. Moving on to number 3, the law of influence. What is the law of influence? The law of influence simply means putting others first. When we put others ahead of ourselves, it's a good thing. True influence isn't about authority or persuasion, convincing someone to do something. It's about putting others' interests ahead of our own. This third law highlights the importance of generosity and service in building strong, lasting relationships in our business and with our friends. By focusing on what others need and what others want, we position ourselves as someone trustworthy and very valuable to them. Multiple comments coming in. Good morning. Good morning, Miss Gina. Happy birthday yesterday again. Yesterday was Miss Gina's birthday. Everyone tell Gina happy birthday. She's 29 years young again and still beautiful. What an amazing friend. Hey, Pete. Thank you. Good point, Pete says. By focusing on what others need, we position ourselves as someone trustworthy and in value. Influence comes from showing empathy or understanding and consistently acting in others' best interest, even when there's no immediate benefit or profit to me. People remember those who genuinely care, right? People don't care about how much you know until they know how much you care. That's one of the life philosophies I heard someone else say years ago, and I've adopted it as one of my own. Truly, people don't care about how much you know until they know how much you care. People remember you when you genuinely care about them. People remember you when they notice that you take note or notice things going on in their life. It could be something that you see happening around them that others may not see, but because of your relationship or your spirit of empathy and giving to them, you can call those things out, maybe in private, and just say, hey, I see this going on around you, or I sense this going on in your life. How can I help you with that? And when you have reached that level with somebody, they understand that you do truly care about them. And it's not just about money, what you can get from them. It's about what can I get to you? And that's where this whole thing switches. The flip the switch. And we turn into that caring person when they understand how much we care. There's no telling how far that relationship, that to those transactions, whatever that influence can go, right? Hello, Miss Mary. How are you today? Appreciate you watching as well. Ask yourself these questions. How can I make this about helping others instead of me? How can I take the focus off of what I am going to reap in this transaction and turn that around into how much can I help this other person? What can I do to demonstrate genuine care and support for them today? Number 4, the law of authenticity, being your true self. Now I'm not taking the scriptural part out of this, the spiritual part out of this, because we have done entire shows on the law of authenticity, being your true self, right? But my true self is my best self when I am following God's law. I'm following the 10 commandments. My trust is put in him for me to be the type of person that he wants me to be, right? We've talked about that before. But being true to yourself, being true to God, being who you really are. When people understand that you are being authentic or you're being very real, they understand that the relationship is real, the conversation is real, your consideration in the transaction is real, right? Authenticity is at the core of meaningful connections. It's often the most overlooked element of success. How many of you know somebody, and when you're talking with somebody about, and not about, but maybe about, because let's just be real. People talk about people all the time, right? And it's not that we're gossiping or we're talking about someone badly, but when someone else comes up in conversation, do we want that conversation to go in the direction of, I always appreciate listening or hearing or talking with Patrick Lee or Cody or Gina or Jackie or Mary or Pete or whoever, right? Because whenever I talk to them, I feel like I'm really talking to them. We are connecting on a level that some conversations we just don't, sometimes just don't connect, right? How many of you know somebody that when their name comes up, it's like, oh my gosh, they are so fake. Every time I talk to them, all I feel like is all they want to know is how much money can they make off of me. That's the only reason they like me, is because I pay them. I have to buy friends. What a pitiful life, right? But there are so many people like that. And a lot of times, here's something that we need to remember. Many times people are like that because they don't watch Midweek Motivation Live with Patrick Lee. They have been hurt. They have been damaged. They have been ripped off. They have, things have gone on in their life that we have no idea what they have been through. And they put walls up. They set these boundaries all around them to not allow anybody in. So when they talk, they are very superficial, because if they let someone in, they're going to get hurt. But what we need to learn how to do is break some of those walls down with love, genuine, authentic care, empathy, and learn to connect with that person on a deeper level. And that's going to be one of the challenges today. Maybe this is the law I challenge you to pick up this week and start applying it to people that you may know, because we all know that type of person, right? We all know that type of person. They are superficial. They never seem, they're always smiling. They're always glad handing, always kissing babies and hugging necks. But deep down, you feel like they're not really there. They're just doing that because it's expected of them. Sometimes that you just need to find a way to be really real with them and share genuine care and love with them. Be yourself. As you are your true self, you'll help them come out of that shell and become more authentic themselves, right? Pretending to be someone you're not, or trying to fit into a mold that you may think society expects of you, is tiring and draining. And at the end of the week, or even the end of the day, sometimes you just need to go sit in the dark in front of a fire and veg out and watch Netflix, because you need to recharge your batteries. You're drained. But if you learn to share these things, not pretend, not wear that mask out in public, just be who you really are, you will find that other people's interaction with you charges your batteries. And at the end of the day, you feel more in tune with your spirit. You're more refreshed and you're strengthened by that, right? People are drawn to people who are genuine, because authenticity garners trust. It builds trust in us, right? Embracing who you truly are and sharing that with other people strengthens you. Our flaws in our personality, flaws in our character, sometimes when we can share those and be real about those, other people can help us with those, knock off the rough edges, and help cause us to become a much more embraceable person, right? So learn to embrace your strength, your flaws in our personalities. And that was going to make us more relatable to other people. It also helps us stand out in a crowded marketplace full of other people who may do the same thing that you do. But when you are genuine and authentic with others, they will see that you are a different type of person. You will have a leg up in that crowd, and they will know that they are drawn to you and that they can trust you to be, if you're in a transaction and you are a phony baloney. We used to call people like that, right? People see right through it. In real estate, we call it commission breath. When you're talking to a client, they can tell if all you want is a paycheck. And everybody knows a realtor that's like that, right? All they want is a paycheck. And they may do fairly well, but your genuine worth is in a transaction is not just what you can negotiate, but it's about what kind of a relationship, how much can you give to that other person, to that transaction, to that relationship, right? And when you are known as that type of a person, that's when you start getting a leg up. You start getting a boost. You're on a higher level. You stand out in a crowd. Being yourself is a powerful way to inspire others. The law of authenticity: be yourself. Ask yourself today, am I being true to myself? Like right now, am I being who I really am? And what unique qualities do I have, possess, or hold on to that I can share with other people, that I can bring into a relationship or a business opportunity? What do I have? What's my superpower? Done a whole show on that in the past. What is my superpower that qualifies me to be better than others in this situation? Thank you guys. I appreciate all of the kind comments. I have to say them live. I can't type in comments. I can read all of yours, but since we simulcast, I can't type in and shoot out comments to people through the messages and the comments in text, but I do try to do them live during the show, and I appreciate all of them deeply. Number 5, the law of receptivity. And you're like, oh, Patrick, you talk about these words. What do they mean? The law of reciprocity, of course, means everything in life is reciprocal, and what you give, you will get. Now, this is the law of receptivity. This is one that I had trouble with for years. I struggled with this for years. I still do. But those of you that know me, love me, and you forgive me for it. And it's the key to receiving, the law of receptivity. Many people find it easier to give than to receive. Why? Because the Bible says it's more blessed to give than to receive, right? So those of us that read the word, that try to be good people, we want to give. We want to give and give and give. And some people will give until they give you the shirt off their back, right? And then they're half naked because they don't even have a shirt on their back. But you turn around and try to give them a brand new shirt and they're like, "Oh no, I don't need that. Oh no, thank you. That's all good." We're go-givers. So we're just going to give and never receive. But part of being a good giver is learning the law of receptivity. Relationship is about give and take. In the beginning of my relationship with my wife, those of you that know my wife, know me, know Stephanie, the love of my life, we've been married 35 years. When we met, she worked in retail and I had like 3 sets of clothes. I was just a poor punk kid, didn't have enough sense to be on my own side when God was on my side all along, right? And I met Stephanie. We started dating, and she got great deals in retail. So she would buy me clothes, and we would go out on dates. And she said, "Hey, I got you a shirt." And I had such a hard time receiving these things from her. And it caused an argument one day. And I said, "You're trying to buy my affection." I had such a hard time being this young Pentecostal kid. It was so hard for me to receive. We got past that, and we learned how much we were in love. We got married, and it's been wonderful. We love to give gifts to each other. Then we started learning to give better gifts to our kids, and it became harder for us to receive as we get older. We are expected at you turn 50 and you're expected to give to everybody, but it becomes really hard to receive. But if we don't allow ourselves to receive from others, that law of reciprocity, we're negating that, right? The flow that comes from giving and receiving, we're negating that in our life. And if we don't learn how to accept gracefully and graciously, then we are basically cutting off everything I'm talking about today. All of the blessings from God, all of his promises are yes and amen, right? But only if we receive them. Success flows in a cycle. Giving opens the door for abundance. Why would we give? Why would we give offerings? Why would we give to other people if we never receive back from them as well? Our ability to receive is just as important as our ability to give. This is a big one for you guys. I hope you're getting this today. Gina says, yes, we have to learn our partner's love language and know how to speak it or show it to them. From a book. Yeah, The 5 Love Languages. I don't remember the author's name right off the top of my head. Gary Chapman, maybe. 5 Love Languages. Great comment, Gina. Learning how to give gifts that really speak to the heart of the other person in the conversation, in the relationship, in the transaction is critical, but also learning how to receive, right? When you allow yourself to receive, whether it's a compliment, support, opportunity, you acknowledge the value others bring into your life. If you never receive from them, you devalue them. Some of y'all are learning some big lessons today. Mary says, amen. People don't know how to receive. Absolutely. Mary likes to cook. I have eaten Mary's cooking, and she's an amazing cook. She is such a giver, a wonderful person. Thank you, Mary. Very, very kind comments. I appreciate that. Stay open to receiving. It keeps you in harmony with the rhythm of giving. You negate the law of reciprocity when you don't allow yourself to receive. Being receptive doesn't mean you're greedy. It's about recognizing that success and fulfillment often come through collaboration and mutual exchange. Ask yourself this today. Am I allowing myself to accept help or gratitude from others? If someone wanted to give you the shirt off their back today, would you receive it? Would you say, oh, no, that shirt doesn't fit me? I'm not worthy to wear those shoes. I'm not worthy of this gift. No, I'm not worthy. And you just hang your head, right? You need to learn to allow yourself to accept help and gratitude from others, accepting thanks from others. Ask yourself, how can I practice openness to receiving this week? Number 6, the power of a giving mindset, the law of the giving mindset. The central theme of the Go Giver book, and I recommend you go read it. It will change your life. It's incredible. It changed mine because it had to change my mindset on a lot of these things that we're talking about, and being raised as a less than financially blessed Pentecostal kid on the Oregon coast. We just gave everything. We had a garden. We gave our produce to the preacher. We gave our money to the preacher. We gave our time, labor, and talent to the church. And we fixed things, repaired things, built things, painted things. And as a young kid doing without a lot of things, I developed this attitude of sort of resentment, sort of walked away from God and his teachings and following him for a few years. And it wasn't until I got to be in my mid to late 20s that I grew up enough to realize that we had food to eat, even if it wasn't a lot, because we gave. And because my parents were givers, because they gave of themselves, all the resources that we had, they gave their time, their energy, their love, and devotion to God and to others, that we had enough to get by. We weren't blessed in the way that I thought we should be materialistically, but that's because I wasn't smart enough to know life isn't about the money. It's about how we can give. And my parents were great givers. They gave a lot. So reading this book brought a lot of these things back to my mind and helped me heal a lot of the things in my psyche or my spirit that I think were broken or tarnished or worn out or something, right? So the central theme of this book really is that generosity, not self-interest, is the secret of life. It's the secret to success. This principle challenges the traditional go-getter mindset that we're all taught to be. Man, he's a go-getter. I was told years ago there are two people in life, Patrick. They're go-getters and they're strollers. And unfortunately, you're a stroller. I was told that by a boss who I considered a friend, and I was so offended that I went out in the first month of business that I worked for that company, and I went further than he did. I made more sales than he did. And when we went back that next month and we were comparing paychecks, he was blown away, and he just had to shake his head and say, wow, I didn't see that happening. And I'm like, don't tell me I'm a stroller. I can stroll through life, but I can hustle. I can be a go-getter. But I just had to show him there are more than one way. You can't put a label on a person and say, this is who you are. You'll never achieve more, right? You need to be giving into that person and saying, you're not just a go-getter. You can become a go-giver, and you will have more because you give more. When accumulation is not the goal, but giving is the goal, a giving mindset shifts your focus from taking to contributing, from getting to giving. The more you give, whether it's your time, right, knowledge, or other resources, which are finite, right? Time, energy, and money, they are finite, not infinite. The more you create opportunities for growth and fulfillment. Giving isn't about just sacrifice. It's also about abundance, giving from your abundance and recognizing that helping others achieve their goals creates this ripple effect of success. Ebb and flow, give and get. Generosity fosters connection and trust, which are invaluable assets in any endeavor, transaction, business, or relationship. Ask yourself today, what can I give today that will have a meaningful impact on someone else in the future? How can I make generosity a natural part of my life and work? And then finally, on to number 7, living the go giver lifestyle. Adopting the principles from the Go Giver book isn't just about professional success, it's a lifestyle that transforms us. It changes us. It's transformative on how we interact with the world. Becoming a go giver means approaching each day with a mindset of service, generosity, and authenticity. It's about small, consistent actions, choosing to give more value than expected. When you go above and beyond what someone expects from you, that's when the magic happens, right? We just did a whole show about that from Miami, when I was down in Miami and learning from the greatest customer service man in food service. And that's what it's about. The magic happens when you do more than is expected, when you connect with empathy, when you show up for others that need you there, and you show up as your authentic self, being real with them, down to earth, we like to call it. Over time, all of these habits compound into lasting relationships, personal fulfillment, professional achievement. They're all tied together. Living as a go giver isn't just a strategy, it's a way to create a meaningful life with impact and abundance. Ask yourself these questions today. How can I live out these principles in both small and big ways? I want to be a go giver too. How do I do that? What will success look like if I measure it by impact instead of income? Flip that switch, right? In closing, this is my first closing, said the preacher. Jackie said, sometimes we have to receive so that way we don't steal someone's blessing. Amen. Absolutely. That's the best way to look at that. I have had to use that tactic. Sometimes people will say, no, no, no. You want to give them a gift and they don't want to receive it. And I have to tell that person from time to time, don't rob me of the blessing, because if I don't sow into you, if you don't allow me to give into you, you're negating me from getting a blessing. The law of abundance, the law of reciprocity can't come back to me if you don't allow me to give to you. Don't rob that person of a blessing. If they desire to give to you of their time, their money, their resources, their energy, whatever that is, learn how to receive it gracefully and just say, thank you. I appreciate that very much. It means a lot to me. These are not hard things, but we have to learn them in life. Don't take someone else's blessing away or turn off the law of reciprocity in their life by not allowing them to sow, pour, or give into your life. The Go Giver isn't just a book, it's a guide to living a more fulfilled life with impact. As you think about the things that I've shared with you today, maybe, like I said, download the show, go back and watch it over and over, like Lisa is going to do. Good morning, Miss Lisa. Yes, I know Lisa always tries to get in early and she jumps on the show in between closings at work, or she watches it later. Then she'll send me a message. The show was so great today. What an amazing friend. Yes, go back and watch the show, Lisa, because you practice this very well. Lisa is definitely a giver. Every one of you that I've seen on the show today have all poured into my life in some way, shape, or form, and I appreciate that. So the challenge today is learning to be a go giver. Do you want to be a go giver and live the go giver lifestyle? As you think about these 7 laws that I've shared with you today, consider how you can apply them to your personal and professional journey. I think you can. I'm still learning how to do it. Don't trust me. I'm not perfect in any way, shape, or form, but I consider myself a giver and I'm constantly learning how to give better. Um, at the level that I can, right? True success isn't about how much we take from life, it's about how much we give to life. My challenge to you today, as your bonus, choose one of the laws from the show today. Take a tip from today's podcast and put it into practice this week. You can do it. Choose one law from the Go Giver and put it into practice. Share your experience with me in the comments of the show. Come back later this week and just say, hey, I shared this with so-and-so, or I exercised this, one of the tips, and I just gave a gift to somebody, or somebody wanted to bless me with something and I would have normally said no. But maybe they just wanted to invite me out for dinner or take you to the gun show on Saturday. And you're like, I'm too busy. Why don't you just say yes and just do it, right? Someone wants to take you out for a meal, go out for a meal. If they want to give you something, receive it with grace. If you have the ability to bless somebody, go out and bless them. Maybe God will tell you, you need to go call somebody. And it could be that your time is something that somebody needs. And you need to invest 15 or 20 or 30 minutes in a nice visit over a cup of coffee or a phone call. True success isn't about how much we get. It's about how much we give. It's about time we learn this lesson and learn it well, right? Listen, guys, courage begins at the end of your comfort zone. Let's go out there and maybe be a little bit uncomfortable today. Learn how to be a go-giver. You can do it. I'm trying to do it. Until next time, this has been Patrick Lee with Midweek Motivation Live, right? Go out there and love on somebody today. Give. Until I see you next time, have a great week. Bye-bye.